Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folare with Cyril Abaku.
Good morning. A pleasure being here.
Indeed. Maybe with, condolences to the family of Issa Funtua, publisher of the Democrat. He's an industrialist, and he passed. May his soul rest in peace. We're continuing yesterday, and we have to anyway, from where we left off yesterday, looking at the NDDC probe that's going on at the National Assembly. So, quite a bit to be said, and shortly, they'll let me know as soon as we can do so. We'll be linking up with Joke Adisa. In fact, but before we go, it was an interesting kind of a session yesterday. Let's even just lead with the package from the view of our reporters.
The sitting started later than scheduled, and chairman of the House Committee surprisingly recused himself from the probe.
For Nigerians to know, I'm not on a mission of vengeance. I wish to humbly appeal to my colleagues to recuse me from presiding over this particular meeting.
The committee, which is in its 4th day of hearing, appointed Deputy Chairman Thomas Ereyotomi to allow the proceedings to continue.
That the evidence I shall give before this honorable committee.
Next came the acting managing director of the NDDC, who for more than 1 hour had to defend allegations of extra budgetary spending.
To the 31st of May 2020, that the sum of 81.5 billion naira was spent by the two IMCs.
Midway into his testimony, he lost his composure and slumped momentarily. After he appeared to have regained his composure, he was rushed out of the sitting for medical help. The panel was compelled to go on a break. On resumption, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, made a surprise appearance, asking for calm and order to allow proper hearing to go on.
It's just a fact-finding mission which will involve questions and answers.
Who is who?
Afterwards, Minister of Niger Delta, Godswill Akpabio, took the stand and was allowed 30 minutes to speak.
First, let me thank you for
he denied many of the issues earlier raised.
And there is an ongoing forensic audit. Number 2, the minister did not hijack the forensic audit. It is ongoing and it is going in line with due process.
Then came a heated exchange.
But that was removed and only 100 million was put in 2019. So the region lost.
And a damning allegation.
I just told you that we have record to show that most of the contracts in NDDC are given out to members of National Assembly, but you don't know about it.
It's okay.
It's okay. The two chairmen can explain to you.
The members of the panel won't allow that slide.
You said I'm not aware. I'm telling you that. Bring up those names.
Sorry, Mr. Right Honorable Member. I think I must correct myself. I was giving an example of a contract of 10.9 billion in the chairman's place.
The panel have gotten enough and allowed the minister to exit. The petitioner, Kolawole Johnson, was invited for further clarification.
You were here last week.
The panel adjourned the sitting indefinitely. Last week, President Buhari, through his aide, demanded speedy investigation into the many allegations against the NDDC. With the hearing concluded, now attention is shifted to the villa to verify whether this will bring an end to the streams of fraud consistently alleged in the NDDC, or will end up in the trash can of history like other probes in the past.
Okay, I mean, I could take a line from Joke's report there, and do a caption for this segment as NDDC probe suspended indefinitely. One wonders why. But first of all, we sort of commiserate with the professor, the
Yes,
MD.
Yes,
you know, because he fell into distress. It's later, you know, been told that actually he'd been ill for about 2 weeks and that he attended this yesterday's session against his doctor's advice, thinking that he'd take care of his health afterwards. This is as told by the PR office of the NDDC. You know, that's what happens when people are so committed to duty sometimes that they even neglect their own health. So he came on against doctor's advice, and as the report put it, turns out his doctors were right. But he was helped to the hospital, and we hear that he was in stable condition yesterday. Hopefully that situation has continued till today. But afterwards, the minister was, you know, invited to speak, given 30 minutes, and was then allowed to leave. As they put it, allowed to leave, it looks like the minister had a lot to say, but for some reason, there was a misunderstanding. They didn't want him to say it. Of course, he dropped that big bombshell, the big bombshell that the National Assembly itself was a main beneficiary of contracts from the Niger Delta. That leaves one kind of a taste in the mouth. So here we are. I suppose, where does this leave us, especially now that the sittings have been postponed indefinitely? Is it possible to take our eyes off the drama that's going on in this case, going to the first acting MD onto the second acting MD? And then a lot of us were hoping that, you know, we need to hear from the minister. And now we've heard from him. Does it remind you slightly of the expression, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it?
it does in many ways than one. I think the logical continuation of yesterday's episode, if I use that word, should have been that members of the National Assembly, indicted without names being called, should have also been given a fair hearing, or should have also been allowed to either corroborate or deny
exactly
the claims being made by the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs.
Yeah.
Is that Lakpabio? But the reality now is this.
No. The Minister of Niger
Delta Affairs, Lakpabio.
Okay. Honorable Commissioner and Distinguished Senator.
Senator, former governor.
Who said that? I know because I've been a member of that committee. So I know. You don't know.
Yes,
Speaking to the lady, you don't know. The men will tell you.
Yes. So, of course, this is the situation. Now that the National Assembly that holds the proverbial yam and the knife, they have cut it where their discretion has led them to cut it, saying that this hearing has been suspended indefinitely. It leaves much to be desired. The fact remains that what we wanted, what some of us wanted was, and I have to say this, an establishment of some of the facts that we have always known all along. But to have a, if you wish, scientific basis to prove them and to make sure that such a proving leads to rendering of justice to people who have been oppressed and dispossessed of their rights to development in the past 19 or 20 years. Now, I want to pray that this opportunity has not been lost.
Indeed.
The fact is that...
You see, that's so important what you say there, because in the midst of all of this drama, we have to understand or remember, recall the actual business on ground. What was President Muhammadu Buhari's intent, as lawyers would use the word, in establishing all of this? It was to get to the bottom of all the confusion, gray areas, he said, she said, I didn't do, I did. Get to the bottom of all of it so we can know where we are and then begin to make amends, not just for the Niger Delta, as the president said, as the president's spokesman put it, but for all other similar projects. You know, people have been talking about this particular situation, subject matter, for quite a while, as you've just indicated. And one of them is Ken Okolobo. Ken Okolobo is our guest this morning on Skype, and he's been a man in governance himself. He's a public affairs analyst and a government critic. Good morning, Ken. Thank you for making time to join us. Good morning, Ken. Okay, we'll sort out the audio part of it, but we have Ken on ground. So as he's going to come on, and we'll take his, because oftentimes government critics they're not shut up, but people sort of decide how to evaluate what they've been saying. But yesterday was something of a watershed, and I'm really concerned about whether we can pick up, whether the scraps that will be left after this fracas, whether we can still do anything with it. The highest authority in the land in terms of oversight has found itself, and that Will Smith word, entanglement. Now the National Assembly is entangled. There was that slight entanglement, alleged Senator Akpabio.
Now, this is the issue. What played out yesterday on live television, national television, was nothing new, and it's nothing special.
Nothing special.
For those who remember,
okay,
Ompadek fell into this same same quagmire.
You're talking about the general.
Yes, where we had a conflict between those who fought for the creation of a commission of this kind and those who came to lead the commission. And let me give you a little bit of history.
Sure.
Minority issues have always been on the front burner of national discourse. It was part of what made Nigeria to adopt federalism. We had the Willings Commission, 57, I think. Thereafter came Ken Saro-Wiwa, who fought very strenuously for the Ogoni rights and so on. When federal government decided that they were going to now have a formal state response to the issues bedeviling the region, there was a lot of question about how do we really go about it. And some persons actually said that you don't need a special commission to deal with these issues because they will end up being even more corrupt than the issues they're coming to fix. But some persons hijacked the process and said they were going to establish a commission as a conduit for corruption. Why do I say so? One of the issues that was raised back in 1999 was that, look, instead of forming a commission, look at what Babangida did to establish Abuja. Why don't you get any of these development construction firms, give them licenses to lift oil, and let them have the roadmap to what you want to do in the region? They will lift the oil, they will sell it, they will use the process to construct roads, hospitals, schools, preferably an international company that will not have any local interests or whatever. But that idea was thrown into the dustbin. Now, mark my words, please. Abuja, when I say Abuja, that's a metaphor for whatever you want to put into Abuja, and wolves from the region, they are local, they are, what do they call them now? People who are fronting for them in the region came together, hijacked the process to form a commission. When Mr. Akpabio alleged yesterday, as he did,
Senator Akpabio, distinguished Senator Akpabio, an
Senator
honorable
Akpabio,
minister.
yes, alleged that people in the National Assembly were gaining most of the contracts that were supposed to be awarded for them. Not all of them are from the region. There are Southwesterners there, there are Northeasterners there. So you can see that this is a matter of the Nigerian state coming together to form a Kwango, to say they are releasing money to the region and using using secondary means to take again what they have sent there back to enrich themselves. You cannot blame people from the region without apportioning some to Abuja. And so we are concerned that yesterday's proceeding should not have been suspended indefinitely. We want to hear what is going. If the accuser becomes accused, he too should have the right to say what he knows about the issues. So what we are seeing today now is a matter of people who have access to the Commonwealth and to the public till, whether they are Igbo, they are Yoruba, they are Shekiri, they are Hausa, they are Igala, they are Doma. As far as they have, they can come together and agree on how to shortchange the masses. They will easily do it. And
so, as long as you can't clap with one hand, as the late MQ Abiola is alleged to have said. You cannot clap with one hand. The agreement that you are theorizing was with the Niger Deltans. You can't go and agree it outside. You have to agree it with Niger Deltans, and that is probably what led some people in the past, some commentators in the past, to say that it's the Niger Deltans themselves that are their own worst enemies. Had the Niger Deltans, let us continue to theorize, stood as one and said, absolutely not, you're not going to make this free for all, This is our region. This is our blood. This is our life. So we've heard of all of those, noble sentiments that were missed, the opportunity of which was missed. We've heard of all of that. Madam Joy, J-O-I, the first, acting MD, she made this statement that she blames the elders of the Niger Delta. But you see, this whole blame game thing, that's what the president wanted to get to the bottom of, and I wonder how well we can still pursue that objective now that the National Assembly, as I said, has had an entanglement, courtesy of the testimony or the submission of distinguished Senator, Honorable Minister Godswill Akpabio, who said, I should know, I was there. In fact, I do know, and people don't know. And especially, I don't know if when he said to the lady that you don't know, the chairman will tell you better.
Will explain to you in his own words.
Thank you very much. I take the correction. The chairman will explain to you. I don't know if this means that they cut women out because you can't rely on women to lie under oath. I'm just thinking now. Is it that you can't rely on them to, quote unquote, have the liver to look you koro in the eye and utter a falsehood, knowing that it's going to be taken down and used as a precedent? I don't know. But he did make that statement. Let's see if our friend Ken Okolugbo, as a matter of fact, Sir Ken Okolugbo, although he drops that title, he's a regular guy. Ken Okolugbo, public analyst and government critic. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, Yori.
Oh, thank you very much for making time for us. Maybe I should just start by saying, give me your impressions, Ken. You've long been a critic of goings on in the Niger Delta. Let me just not put words into your mouth. Give me your impressions of the state of the probe now vis-a-vis the objective we have, that is that the president has on our behalf, of getting to the bottom of this particular, shall we say, cooking pot, so that we can begin to do the needful and begin the actual course of development in the area. Give me your impressions of where we're at now.
Well, Uncle Yori, I would have been happy if you had actually referred to the last program we had in November. And it was like as if we were being prophetic. Remember, I clearly warned that the Interim Management Committee should not have been put in place. I also warned about the acting managing director then, Madam Joyce Nunez, who did not go for the Senate screening, and was the one that was appointed as the acting managing director. Let me not bore you with all we said at that program. It was a very incisive program we had on your station for close to 1 hour.
Yes.
With
it was the This Morning edition of, as you say, some months ago.
Yes, some months ago. And I also had some sessions with the EDP project, about 2 sessions. You see, what we are saying here is we don't seem to understand sometimes if the government is on a self-throttle to destruction. If you had a board that you nominated and you sent that board to the Senate, and the Senate screened that board, you rather chose to keep that board in abeyance and decided that you were going to have an interim management committee, what you see is exactly what you get. When some of us were crying wolf, we're crying out, they said we're crying wolf. It was as if we were the lone voice in the wilderness. The truth about it is that the facts are on the table now. There was no budget for 2020. The budget they had was 2019. But Uncle Yori, why did the Senate and the House of Rep pass that budget? That's the question you ask yourself. Remember, they had said, as at that time I was in your program, that they were not going to deal with any other committee but the board that they had cleared. So by the mere fact that they cleared that budget, they also brought this on themselves, the Senate and the House of Reps. Sorry to put it that way. All these rigors that they're going through now, setting up committees to investigate the IMC, would have been avoided if they had done the needful by insisting that the board was sworn into place. Because why do I say this, Uncle Yori? The board would have given a system of check and balance. Remember, there are 1 nominee from each of the 9 states. Mm-hmm. Now you have a chairman who oversees the managing director, who is the chief accounting officer of the commission. Then you have the EDP project and the EDP finance, who also are accountable to the board. There and then, you will not hear of payments that are obscene, like $641 million that was paid to ClearPoint. This did not have the BPE approval, for example. When we said these things, they said we were lying. When we have the lead forensic auditor only receiving 44 million naira out of the 318 million that was approved for the lead forensic auditor on the 13th of February this year, then you now pay ClearPoint 641 million to carry out an advocacy on the Niger Delta and the need to carry out a forensic audit. Does that make any sense to you, Uncle Yori?
And there was also the fact that there were 10, no less, forensic audit firms involved in this based on regions. You know, I think that is a point that you had also mentioned in our last conversation, that you couldn't understand why it was being divided up as if the NDDC wasn't one.
Thank you very much for bringing that up, because that's exactly what I was saying at that last program. I wish you could play that program again for Nigerians to watch. It will be interesting, because they will be shocked at the things they will learn in that program that we had. You are picking up one forensic auditors. What happened to KPMG? What happened to PricewaterhouseCoopers? What happened to Arthur Anderson? We know very notable firms that could have carried out the forensic audit in the NDDC. And we clearly said as at that time that why not have a board in place at the same time carry out the forensic audit? We are all for the forensic audit, but it's mind-boggling the kind of amounts that you have heard that have been used in this period that could have gone a long way in the development of the people of the Niger Delta. Imagine where the MD is accepting that he used 1.32 billion to take care of members of staff and themselves for COVID-19, while their salaries were still being paid. Why would they be the ones talking about palliative rather than the downtrodden in Delta, downtrodden in Akwa Ibom, downtrodden in Rivers and Cross River?
One moment, Ken. What does the quote-unquote suspension of the probe panel indefinitely say to you?
No, but I think they had just 2 days to do their work, and they have done their work for 4 days. So I think suspension of the probe panel in the House of Reps means they're going back to the drawing board to write their reports. They have heard enough of testimonies. They have seen enough of submissions haven't been done to them. It's for them to draw their infection. For example, you look at the fact that they are the ones that appropriate and are the ones that pass the budget. The budget is a law. If you go against the law, it's already an infraction that you have committed. So it behaves on the bicameral house, that is the Senate and the House of Reps, to carry out a very detailed report on what they have found out so far. Because the truth about it is, those of us from the Niger Delta region, we are desirous of having a prosperous NDDC. What we are seeing is not what we are supposed to get.
Okay. Well, actually, could you? We have our own Joke Adisa at the National Assembly right now. If you, one moment, please, Sir Ken, let's cross over to our reporter to give us what things are like on this bright, early morning. Joke Adisa? Okay, good morning to you. Would you like to give us an overview of the day after in the National Assembly?
Yes, we saw what happened yesterday. We saw when the acting MD slumped and they had to be taken out in the course of interrogation or questioning and answering by the lawmakers. And thereafter, we also saw the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs take the stand to come up with his defense as far as the allegations against him are concerned. Of course, he denied all the allegations and also made some allegations against National Assembly members, saying that majority of them get most of the contracts that are even in contest. So that was what happened. We also saw the petitioner coming on board again to assert his position, to insist that that petition was right, that he got all his facts right. And so that was what we saw yesterday. But one thing that came up at the end of that investigative hearing yesterday was the fact that the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs declined to append the signature, to even fill it and append the signature to the form the oath form that it was given, the oath paper. You know, when you take an oath, you sign, you write your names and append your signature, but he did not do that. And even when he finished, the sergeant at arms, the staff of the committee ran after him, and he said he was not going to fill it, and so he left. So I think, by and large, with what has happened, the lawmakers, like we heard from the vice chairman that acted as chairman yesterday, he said they were going to put together their report and lay it before the House for the necessary legislative interventions. So, yeah.
The time of the committee is actually up because they were allocated a time. So when people are saying suspended indefinitely, it's like they had a time frame within which to work, right?
Yes, of course. There was a time frame. If you recall, the assignment itself was scheduled to take 2 days, 15th and 16th. Eventually, it entered the 4th day, and so they were constrained at that point to ensure that they put everything behind them. And so that was what we saw yesterday. They had to hurry the minister up. They gave him 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and even after, even when he chose to say something, they said no, the time lapsed and all that. So they had to hurry up everything so that they could, and knowing fully well that by Thursday they'll be going on annual recess. So that report is expected to be laid before that Thursday. So I think that is where the constraint is, and they had to do all that we saw yesterday. So they have. But one other thing is that the acting MD may not be coming. Of course, will certainly not be coming back. Thank God his feet is okay. He's left the hospital now, and so like the speaker said yesterday, the committee should rely on his memorandum before them, and use that to write their report. And so that means that everything concerning the investigative hearing is closed, and the report is what is being expected.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Joke Adisa. Now I understand there's also something of a protest in the UK concerning the NDDC. You got any information on that?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Is there any news about the UK, citizens in the UK, our citizens in the UK protesting concerning this NDDC affair?
Well, to the best of our knowledge here in the National Assembly, we have not seen any protest this morning.
Okay. No, I was talking about the UK. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, Joke, I jumped you with that. You probably haven't seen these pictures, but there is, we have pictures of people carrying placard, a few citizens in the UK. So thank you very much, Dr. Adisa.
That was yesterday.
Yes, that was yesterday.
And those are students who are stranded, who went on scholarship.
Okay.
Thank
you very much for your time, Joke.
Sent by the NDDC, but who have not been paid their monies. When Minister Akpabio came and was to begin his testimony, he did allude to the fact that he was aware protests were taking place in the UK. And I think, was it the acting MD before the incident happened, did say that payments were being processed to make sure that, they receive their monies. So we hope that this will pay off.
Okay. And to Selken Okolubo, who is still with us on site, I was just going to thank him and wonder actually what his thoughts are about how much we've really gotten out of this particular exercise. How much meat we got off the bone. Very briefly as we go to break.
No, what I would say is this.
Yes.
Let us learn some
very briefly.
Let us learn some very key lessons from what has happened. The NDDC is under the direct supervision of Mr. President. We need to make sure that the political interference of the minister should be curtailed. Let this body be directly under the president, do its work as the act provides for it to do its work. Let's go with the IMC and get a substantive body in place and get a reputable forensic auditor to do the audit. 8,000 documents. You're talking of financial audit, legal audit, and all sorts of things. We need to get to the bottom of this, and so that so that we can have a good template for opening a new chapter.
Do you think we can?
No, of course, if we have the will, we can.
With the state of affairs.
With trillions being lost in the past 21 years, what are we waiting for? I think, in fact, we should have started this long ago. So I think we can, if we do have the will, we surely, we certainly should.
Okay, just to register thanks to Ken Okolibo. Sir Ken,
Yes.
we've run out of time. I wonder very, very, very briefly, please, do you believe that we have enough now in terms of our objective of time? I wonder very, very, very briefly, please, do you believe that we have enough now in terms of our objective of trying to understand what's going on? Very briefly, please.
Yeah, I think they say the taste of the pudding is in the eating. We have seen what the IMC, what they have, what measures they have brought us to in terms of this stage. At this point in time, I think what the president needs to do is just to disband the IMC and move the NDDC back to the office of the SGF and set in motion the process of inaugurating the board.
All right, I want to thank you very much.
Help the process.
I know there's a lot more in there, but can I thank you very much, Sir Ken?
It's always my pleasure.
Thank you very much for coming on. Okay, stay with us, please. We'll take a break, be right back, and then we'll look at another subject. Okay, welcome back, and switching over to Ondo now, where the primaries were held yesterday. Our man Ayo Moradeyo is in Akure as we speak, and so we cut to him. There you are. Good morning, Ayo. So give us your overview of how well it went. Everything according to plan?
Good morning, Yori. Yes, it was a busy day yesterday at the International Event Center known as the Dome. We were there for about 11, 12 hours, and we were able to monitor the exercise from the beginning, from accreditation to voting and stopping of vote. So it was a seamless process. The aspirants, they all came, 8 of them contested, and at the end of the day, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu emerged victorious, and he gave a speech after he was declared winner. He said one thing, and he said that reconciliation must be carried out, that he's ready to work with all the aspirants, that he cannot do it alone. Apart from thanking God, that God for giving him victory, he said he needs all the aspirants so that they can work together and focus on the main election. So far, the governor said he's ready to bring more people on board. He's ready to go as far as going to PDP, to bring some of aggrieved members of PDP to the APC. For now, I have one of the member of APC in Ondo State. He is a notable member. His name is Alex Kalejaye. He is the publicity secretary of APC. Mr. Kalejaye, yes, you witnessed it yesterday. Yeah. How did it go? What is your view of the whole process?
What happened in Akure yesterday, specifically at the Dome, should gladden the heart of every member, every genuine member of the APC, whether you are an aspirant, whether you are a fan of one of the aspirants, because the entire exercise was transparent. It was marvelous. In fact, I must commend the organizers of the exercise, but I'm talking about the committee led by the governor of Kogi State, His Excellency Governor Yaya Bello. They did a fantastic job, yeoman job. So I'm particularly happy. I participated as one of the delegates, and I'm particularly very happy about the transparency of the whole exercise. I must say, although a candidate emerged yesterday, but to us, it was victory for APC. Every member of the party is happy. However, we won't take anybody for granted. You will recall that shortly before the commencement of the exercise, some leading members, some leading aspirants, they withdrew, and they announced their support for the governor, who eventually emerged as the candidate to support him. But we're still going to meet, before the end of this week, we're going to call a meeting of all the stakeholders, particularly of the aspirants. We must work together because the ultimate goal is to win the governorship election and retain it on those state for APC.
Mr. Kalejaye, the governor said that reconciliation is very important. But some aspirants yesterday said the process was not fair to them. How do you address this so that all the aspirants will work together as a team ahead of the main election?
Of course, I've just said that there's going to be a meeting. When we convert the meeting, anybody, any aspirant, gladiator, stakeholder that has grievances should be able to present, and we address all these things. You know, where you have justice, there will be peace. So we will ensure justice at the meeting, and we will ensure that everybody leaves the meeting happier, because we have resolved to pacify anybody that is aggrieved for whatever reason. Of course, politics is all about crisis and crisis management. We'll continue to talk to our people, we'll continue to appeal, you know, because the interest of the party should be greater than any personal interest. I'm sure most of the aspirants and their supporters also want the party to succeed during the governorship election.
Okay, Mr. Kalejai, thank you for coming on our show. Let me also tell you that attention will be shifted to the People's Democratic Party, and their primary election will be taking place tomorrow, and it is going to be a keenly contested primary election where 8 aspirants that are jostling to pick the ticket of the People's Democratic Party. I have here with me a People's Democratic Party chieftain, Mr. Benson Enikwemeni. Mr. Benson Enikwemeni, tomorrow is the D-Day for the PDP.
That's correct.
How prepared is your party for this?
Well, we put the structures in place. We have had our ward primaries before now. We also had our local government congress before now. It was only the state congress that was not held. So we've also had our ad hoc delegates, 3 of them per ward, and they are all put in place, apart from the statutory delegates that are supposed to vote. I'm sure over 2,000 plus, almost 2,500 persons may be involved tomorrow at the venue for the purpose of casting their votes. We will cast the votes, and when we are done, whoever emerges creditably, whoever emerges sincerely, definitely will be supported by all and sundry. PDP is prepared.
You said you will support anybody who emerges at the end of the exercise. But let me put it to you. 8 gladiators are in this race. How are you going to ensure that one of you, if he wins, you support the person so that your party can win the coming election?
Definitely, in any good house, you will have things of silver, you will have things of gold, you have things of bronze. And this will also have in any contest. The 8 of them do know that it's only one person that will emerge. But I'm quick to add that we will not, and this is what I'm emphasizing, we will not pick anyone with a baggage. No. The PDP knows fully well that it's in the opposition. If we put anybody with a baggage, either in character or in certificate or in any form whatsoever, we will have issues. We know this, and everyone is aware. The delegates are all aware. Therefore, we will do what is just. All we are appealing to is that the National Secretariat of the PDP, that is the National Working Committee, must ensure that things follow the normal course of it. That is, the list of the delegates as accepted in the wards, in the local government, and the ad hoc delegates that were voted for, and be informed, I am one of the delegates, that were voted for, should be the same list that should come back to us. When His Excellency Alhaji Dakwabo, the former governor of Gombe State, came, we laid bare before him that one of the aspirants had gone ahead to navigate how to doctor and maneuver the list. And all of us, we were at one saying no. It is the list that was signed and countersigned, even by his own agent, that we will uphold. And that we uphold. And that was what the man upheld at that particular meeting. So if an appeal committee, which was the final decision-making body, had come, anything to the contrary in Abuja, it will mean that the National Working Committee may be coming here to come and do the voting. So the party is set. We are all prepared. Whoever emerges, we will support, but don't emerge with a baggage, because we know APC. They will pay us back the way they were paid back in Bayelsa. They are waiting for us. And therefore, we cannot afford to mismanage the chances. We cannot afford to mismanage the successes coming our way.
Mr. Benson, thank you for coming here. Really appreciate you. Our attention has been shifted to the People's Democratic Party, PDP, primary election. And I can assure you that we'll bring it to you. We'll let you know how it unfolds. I want to say from here, Yori Folani, so over to you.
Thank you very much.
In Lagos.
Thank you very much.
I would have loved to ask Ayo if he's still with us.
Okay, welcome back. Shall we say the home stretch now? And our thanks to Ayo Morade for, a nice report there where we heard from the ruling APC side of the story, as well as the oncoming PDP chapter, shall we say, because that opens up tomorrow. And he was the PDP gentleman, another very interesting contributor, saying that we can't afford to leave any stone. We're just going to take care of everything because APC will be waiting for us. We know them, and that whole business about they're ready to pay us, they're waiting to pay us back for what happened in Bayelsa. That's a totally different story. But Mr. George has called in from Ikeja. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Yes, greetings to Siri.
Good morning to you, sir.
Uncle Yori, I wanted to call you yesterday, but I wasn't lucky enough to get through.
Okay.
This NDDC probe.
Yes. I
believe that nothing will come out of it. You can see that it's a case of dog eating dog. The NDDC as a body, the moment it goes to the portfolio of a minister, you know what will happen. What the minister has been trying to display is a distraction. We are talking about money that is missing. And you are talking about we shared it together. This person was part of the contract. The other woman who is complaining about me has married 28 husbands. What has all those things got to do with the issue? Where the issue that is there, the president needs to take a very stern action here. If I were him, I will maintain the forensic audit and forget about National Assembly probe. All the National Assembly probes, nothing has ever come out of them. And this one will not be an exception. And I would dismiss that minister for being against the principles of the government that I have. He has displayed absolute corruption tendencies as a minister openly, and it should not be tolerated. That's my view. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. Interesting perspective there. Well, that's his take, and views of our contributors don't necessarily reflect the views of our program or our station, but thank you for it nevertheless. I guess it's the question of what we have got out of this particular probe. It's a debatable one. It
is, and I think that people wouldn't.
But one second, please. Reverend Dominic has called in from Alimosho. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Yori.
Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, good morning, sorry.
Good morning to you, sir.
Yori, if you can give me a few seconds, let me build this background.
Sure.
Yori, the man you spoke, my friend, you spoke on the Skype, is a brother in Upper Deck that created NDDC.
Oh.
Now, hear this. In Upper
Oh, you're talking about Ken?
Yes.
Ken Okulubo.
Ken knows me very well.
Yes.
He's a failure in Upper Deck. He was commissioned there in Upper Deck.
That's right.
I brought in NDDC. In 1998-99, hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, in 1998-99, the law that created Umpadek was specific. That law says that it is indigenous, the people on the ground, that will select the project you will bid for them. Now somebody comes from Abuja to identify a project in the swamp of Niger Delta. It is strange. Somebody has a clear, law, act that makes the villagers, the people who wear the shoe and know where it's bad, to appoint the project. Now, their failure in this corruption, those of corruption that brought NDDC. And when NDDC began to fail, in the wisdom of people in Niger Delta, some of them then wanted a minister that would represent Niger Delta in the neck or in the FEC. Now, they brought Niger Delta ministry. Most of us criticize it. Obasanjo agree with us. We are asking my brother and sisters that sit down there, do you want bureaucracy or do you want project? They prefer bureaucracy. And we have Ababio and Niger Delta minister now that doesn't go around. What is happening here is usual. It happened in Opposite. It happened in Niger Delta ministry right now. It happened in NDC. It happened about 13% derivation. Why nobody talking about that? Nothing will come out of it.
All right,
let me
Dominic.
say this. When we voted Muhammad Buhari, most of us, as a pastor, what we voted is not that corruption will stop.
Okay.
We voted that there will be a change in attitude in governance. But unfortunately, the attitude we use that makes us to chase PDP and good luck, that attitude has continued now. We are probe and probe. We have all use of the probe. We have Agumote, who are accusing National Assembly. We have all kind of probes. At the end of it, submission of report, and the story continues. This must change.
Thank you very much,
move forward in
Reverend
Nigeria.
Dominic. Appreciate you calling in and giving us your impression. Again, reiterating your point
Yes.
that it's not really a new
There's nothing special about it.
scenario. But there must be an end. You see, that was the intention of the president in saying, let me introduce a forensic audit here. And maybe when we name names, when we see clearly, without any emotion, what the financial landscape has been, then we can address it. But not very many people want a forensic audit. If what it is going to do is name names, name who got what, where what was spent, how much was spent. If we're going to go to that extent, if that is what the content of a forensic audit is going to be, then I don't think people are queuing up to back it. In the meantime, Prince YS has called in. Good morning, Prince YS.
Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Longest time. Morning to you.
Good morning to you, sir. Go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. You see, this morning, what I want to say is this. This probe do not go the way other goes, unless if Mr. President wants it to be. Now, Mr. President come on around 2015 that I'm fighting corruption. That is why people like us voted for him. Now, if we have a lot of people in the Niger Delta, in NDDC, they all do it. If not, it's not go to anywhere. This very one, after the probe of this National Assembly, I must say kudos to the speaker that set up the probe. I support it. The forensic audit tools should come out openly. Anybody found culpable should be tried, and that is it. Okay. If other did not do anything with other proof, this very one, after submitting the probe by the panel, EFC should come in, ICP should come in, the next day, the court of law. My appeal is to Mr. President, and my appeal is to the CJ of the Federation, Chief Justice of Federation, set up just a special department, special court to try anybody culpable. Within 2 or 3 years, we should know the determination of that case.
Okay,
That's
Prince
what we
YS.
have to say now, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much.
Because in Nigeria,
We get you.
when something in a court,
We get you. Thank you very much, Prince YS, making that last statement because the wheels of justice oftentimes grind quite
Very
slowly. So if you were to set up a special kind of a court, but you see, this exactly is what I imagine people are striving to prevent. The whole forensic audit is bad news, and I mean it's good news for the fight against corruption and all of that. But how many people want that? Because where this thing could lead Unfortunately, nobody knows. I mean, look, the Honorable Minister and the distinguished Senator just came to testify for 20 minutes yesterday and scattered the whole place.
I hope we won't have another auditor to audit this ongoing forensic audit. What we want is simple, Uncle Yori. What we want is simple. Remove this. I hope that with yesterday's revelations, I respect Professor Daniel Kemebradikmo Ponde. He's a professor of medicine.
Yesterday's
I do respect him.
Okay.
But when he did say that they had spent 1.32 billion,
yes,
and the question was put to him, where did you derive the powers to make that spending?
Yes.
And there was no answer.
Yes.
On the strength of that alone.
No, did he not say, I will provide answers? You know, he said that about 2 or 3 times. I will provide answers.
When it wasn't budgeted for. So on the strength of that alone, I think that with what we have seen in the past 1 month thereabout, Mr. President has sufficient grounds to take certain levels of action. Without such proactive, people-centered decision-making and action incumbent by the president, people will have this cynicism. Is right, and from that place.
I understand you, but you see, meanwhile, Mr. Emmanuel in Otokpo has called in. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Sri.
Good morning to you, Emma.
We thank God for what is happening in Nigeria. The show at the National Assembly yesterday was a show of shame, and it's very unfortunate. This is why many of us believe that the elders and the chiefs of the Niger Delta are culpable. That's why you have this conspiracy of silence from them. None of them is talking because they are all getting their fingers in the corruption. See, the solution to this mess is to scrap the NDDC.
Yes.
To scrap the Northeast Commission.
Okay.
To scrap every other commission. Let the federal government go directly to the people and take care of them. The Niger Delta affair is long overdue. These people, they pour in the land, they need to be salvaged.
Okay. Emmanuel, we've got to go. I'm so very sorry, but thank you very much. The main point you made was that if it were up to you, you'd scrap the NDDC. The minister, distinguished senator and honorable minister, actually had addressed that question, that if you do that, there will be chaos. But so it's a submission, and the president has his work cut out for him. On the other hand, he might not have his work cut out for him because he's the top. He can just pronounce. He can just, within the law. So we got to leave it here. That's our program today. Thank you very much for staying with us, Cyril Abakula and myself. We say, do please try to keep safe. Bye-bye for now.